I just wanted to follow up on the wonderful presentation that is being made today to ask the Commissioner of Health and the Edo State Head of Service, how really prepared are they to receive diaspora investment? Based on my own experience here, where a colleague, an Edo State citizen who came to Edo State to build a major hospital in honor of the wife, and bought a piece of land, about 25 acres of land. And before starting development, he was advised to get a certificate of occupancy and see the government. These documents were submitted to the Able Commissioner for Health, who rightly and quickly asked the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health to look into the issue. I tell you, for 2 years, nothing is heard back. And those applications we had, it was at the governor's office. This colleague, an Edo State citizen, in the last 18 months, he's almost completed this project in Abuja. And that is totally lost to Edo State. So it's okay presenting all this information here, but you have to put the system in place to make sure that when this investment do flow in, it is followed. I'm not even sure if the permanent secretary or anybody knows where those files are now. And that is just my submission. It's an observation that I wanted to make.
Thank you. Dr. Irowa, do you have anything to say to that?
I think I would like to start by correcting some maybe misconceptions as to what the role of the Ministry of Health is as it has to do with establishing a facility. If you have any proposal, no matter the channel in which you brought it to the state, it has to go through the normal route of it meeting the minimum requirement for you to have a hospital or medical facility built. And we have a medical service department that does that. And if any document was brought in to the Office of the Commissioner, it would have been routed through the appropriate channel to investigate what was on board. And in terms of allocation of land, you heard from GIS and the rest, but for approval for a hospital to start, it's when you have built it that we can inspect. And in fact, you bring a plan, there's a process. You get an application form, you bring a plan, and we look at it as it meets all the requirements. So I think we may have to talk a little more to get more clarity as to what the details that came to Edo State, as you said, 2 years ago, and we didn't put that right. I don't want to argue much, but I know that it is when the facility is already built and it meets standard that we can approve of it to be a facility for rendering healthcare services in the state. So I think my contact I can share with you if necessary so that we can track those things down. I can come in on another day to confirm all these claims. I don't want to say it's right or wrong, but more importantly, the statement may not be as it is presented here. That's the something like that.
All right, thank you, Dr.
I want to also speak to some other comments I saw on the platform.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Rowa.
Yes.
Can I add to what?
Please go on. Please go on. Yeah.
Okay. That's a bit. That's a bit unusual. You know, having an application for nearly 2 years and there's no response from us. That's quite unusual. We'll take this up. I would like to have the particulars so that we can follow up. Whoever has been responsible for this, of course, we'll let out a sanction, like government will normally do. That's number one. And then number two, I told you about the Diaspora agency. I think the comment you made, this issue you raised, underscores very clearly the need to have that agency. What is expected is that when that agency comes on board, transactions like this will be monitored by the agency. So they will not be at large anymore. You know, to follow, give you people in the diaspora where you make applications like that, follow up on them, and then give you feedbacks of what's happening to them so that you can track your applications. So I think that it's very important that this issue of the diaspora agency, you know, we're working on it very, very hard. And by the grace of God, very, very soon, you'll find the agency embedded in the state.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kungo.
There are some other areas I felt like answering, please,
okay.
Because of I saw some of the charts.
Okay, okay.
On the issue of Uromi General Accident and Emergency Center built by Reverend Okpebolo at the Central Hospital, Romi. That has been actually completed, and we visited some time in August last year, just before the election, and eventually it was to be having commissioned during the election, just to put things right, because I've seen some of the charts are not very clear. The issues were like the Reverend wanted the governor to commission it just before the election, but he was too busy with his electionary activities, and it was deferred. And afterwards, we also had some interactions, because I know I was in that visit to the Reverend himself. And just about a month ago, in spite of all of this, we had a communication with him through the PS Hospital Management Board, and the deputy governor was to even go to speeches, and everything was, we're prepared. But he had to travel, but I understand he just got back into the country. And that process of commissioning the facility is already in the front burner of the authorities of the state. And it was not what we could do individually. The highest authority was to be involved in such valuable contribution by Reverend Okpebolo. So that was one of those things that we needed to have achieved. And I believe that within the next 1 week or so, we'll have a clear direction with working with the Reverend to ensure that that thing is commissioned. So it's not like we are dodging from it or sharing it, but he had to go on a short trip outside the country, I think. And that was what he, with talking with our PS, concluded that it was going to be after he returns. And I'm aware that he just got back this last week or so. Our conclusion on that will be communicated to him once we reach his agreement with us, so that we can tell His Excellency to get, so that that can really be put behind us. I know issues have actually arisen from that Accident Emergency Center donated to the state through that. And we actually appreciate his effort and all of those who have been concerned in terms of ensuring that we have good health services at Edo Central. Then also there are other areas whereby somebody asked whether it is possible for him to guarantee his investments. He wanted to bring production centers or health-related issues to Edo State. You've heard from the various key stakeholders, the GIS, the head of service, even the Kelvin also, in terms of what can be done. We have laws now that are also being reviewed, and in all of these, your investments will be guaranteed even after this administration, because the laws are backing them all up. And for investing in the private, in the public sector, the laws are also being reviewed. Whoever invests there will be backed up by policies and laws. So it's not like after this government, there will be challenge in whether there will be continuity or so. Those are the things that have been happening in the reform system of the state. And for Professor Bon, for the health sector, if you invest in it, we can guarantee you. Also, right now, the primary healthcare system in the state is now under an agency, the Edo State Primary Care Development Agency, unlike before when there were multiple control of the primary care facilities in the state. Now with that agency, you can actually have a final decisions and conclusion of any deal you do with the primary care sector, and there won't be any challenge. And the laws are also there to protect whoever is investing. MOUs are signed with anybody that's coming to the state to partner with the state in terms of PPP arrangements. So I think some of the teething problems that people experienced in the past, actually going forward, will not exist in this system to ensure that the health sector is made better.